All right, man, let's get it. Welcome to another edition of No Pump Fake Sports. I'm your host, Passport T. Let's talk a little NBA basketball. What I want to talk about today, man, is Stephen A. Smith and why he's the modern day Benedict Arnold. But let's go back, man, to where it all started. Basically, man, it started with these guys, man, from a guy named Jim Rome. And for you younger guys that don't really know who Jim Rome is, you can go into YouTube and pull up the Jim Rome podcast, episode number 46, and you can find Jim Rome interviewing Stephen A. Smith. But Jim Rome, man, was one of the biggest sports analysts in sports, man, during the 90s and early 2000. Jim Rome, he grew up, man, in Los Angeles. He was born in Los Angeles, graduated from, I think, Calabasas High. He went to college in Santa Barbara where he studied in communications. And then he got his, his start in radio. But he parlayed that radio gig, man, into television. And he became one of the biggest stars, man, on TV, talking about sports at that time. And how he did it was, man, he created a character that was very aggressive, very abrasive, and he didn't mind, bringing guests on his show and just getting in their face. He didn't mind, like, just being super abrasive. And where he hit the big time was when, I think it was like 94 and 95, he was interviewing the Rams quarterback at that time, Jim Everett. If some of you guys, older guys, y'all remember Jim Everett. But Jim Rome was interviewing Jim Everett, and live on TV, he kept disrespecting Jim Everett, and he was calling him Chris Everett, the old tennis player. Basically, he was calling him soft and was calling him a girl, and he didn't want to really, use his name, Jim. And Jim kept telling him, man, my name is Jim. But I guess Jim Everett got fed up, and he told him, man, if you call me Chris again, I'll take care of it. So Jim Rome, man, like I said, man, he had balls. He was super abrasive, and he called him Chris Everett again on live TV. And the quarterback from the Rams, Jim Everett, man, jumped over the table and attacked Jim Rome. Body slammed him, man. It was on live TV. You could actually find this on YouTube as well. Well, at that particular point, Jim Rome turned himself into a national sports superstar as far as analyst was concerned, because he created the character at that moment, the guy that wasn't afraid to get in these players' face, wasn't afraid to tell the truth, wasn't afraid to disrespect them. And he created that character, man, and it brought him to stardom. Jim Rome is actually still around right now today. He's on YouTube, the Jim Rome Show. But what a lot of people don't really know is that Jim Rome brought two guys in that people didn't really notice. And the two guys that he brought in and showed them the ropes, showed them how to make it in this business, was Stephen A. Smith and yours truly, Skip Bayless. And this is why these two guys made it to the big time as sports analysts, because they basically formed their careers around that Jim Rome model, to get aggressive, to like ruffle some feathers, be loud, obnoxious, and just, send ripples and shockwaves through the airwaves. And that's what they did. And Stephen A. Smith basically created that character, him and Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless got away from it a little bit, but in the beginning, Skip was very aggressive, and he didn't mind rubbing people the wrong way. But I think over the last few years, he's kind of changed his model a little bit. But as far as Stephen A. Smith, nah, he didn't change his model. He's still pushing that same line. But the difference between Stephen A. Smith back then, even though he was loud, obnoxious, and abrasive, he would get close to the players, and he didn't really, he wasn't really disrespectful to the players. He started off in Philadelphia as a beat writer, and he was covering Allen Iverson a lot, and him and Allen was cool. You know what I mean? So, Stephen A. wasn't like, he wasn't, just going crazy and being disrespectful, talking behind the guy's back and all of that at that time. He was cool with Allen Iverson. A few more other players, I think Al Harrington liked him a lot. A lot of guys were cool with Stephen A. But somewhere along the line, he figured out that it would be more advantageous for him to be the guy if the bosses needed him to push a certain narrative on certain players. He didn't mind doing that. And he showed the executives that I'll be your Huckleberry. So basically, he turned into a Benedict Arnold. He created a lot of these relationships with a lot of these players, and the players trusted him. They gave him interviews. They came on his shows, the couple different shows that he had on ESPN. They didn't mind coming on. But as of late, over the last 3 to 7 years, so to speak, Stephen A. turned to a guy, man, that these players cannot trust. He's basically Benedict Arnold. He'll do all of the dirty work for the executives and for the people in TV. Like if they want to push a certain narrative against a certain guy, Stephen A. will push it even one step further. He'll just do that dirty work, man, and he don't mind, just disrespecting guys. At first it was about the weed. He was talking about get off the weed, and just telling dudes they were bums and that's all you want to do is get high and smoke weed all day long when you should be in the gym training. But then the whole narrative of weed and marijuana in the United States changed. It's basically legal in every state almost, in some form or fashion, medical or recreational. So you don't hear Stephen A. pushing that narrative anymore. He done switched over to something else. So now, that brings me to this new thing with Kyrie. It's a funny thing, man. Stephen A. is just really pissing me off right now because he's going super hard on certain guys and really on Kyrie. But what he's not really just understanding in his mind is we live in the greatest country on earth in the history of this planet, which is the United States of America. I'm 100% man. But in America, if I want to go outside and be a girl tomorrow, I can do it in the United States. It's my freedom of choice. And this is what Stephen A. is not really catching. He's not catching that, man, Kyrie deserves to have the right to do whatever he wants to. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong. I'm not saying Kyrie should do this or he should do that. But guess what? We live in America. We have the choice to do whatever we want. Stephen A. is trying to play a very funny game here. He's trying to make it seem like when he was arguing with Jay Williams the other day, he's trying to make it seem like, well, I'm not telling him to do this. I'm just saying if you look at his history, he wants to skip out on games. He don't really want to play, so he'll take off for a month. But what Stephen A. doesn't really understand, what does that have to do with what's going on now? This is way deeper than the game. And Kyrie, he's reserving the right to say, hey, I'm not ready to make that decision right now. Whether right or wrong. This is America. He deserved the right to do whatever he wants to do with his body. But that is not the narrative that the news, that ESPN, that these other entities want to push. And Stephen A. is their Benedict Arnold. He'll turn on these players. He'll turn on his co-workers. He'll turn on whoever. As long as you giving him some money, as long as you keeping him in a position of power, Stephen A. don't care. He'll cut your throat, man, with a razor. He'll put a pinstripe across your windpipe. He don't care, man. Look what he did to Max Kellerman. Oh man, that was despicable what he did to Max Kellerman. But this is the one thing, that's the one situation that I believe is going to come back and bite Stephen A in the butt. And I mean bite him harsh. Man, he did Max dirty. Man, he was going basically behind Max's back for years now, trying to get them to fire Max, and the executives didn't want to do it. This is not my words. This is his words. He said this. He was going behind Max's back, man, telling the ESPN execs that hey man, I want to get this dude out of here. This is not working and this and that. But ESPN was like, well, our ratings are good, you know what I mean? And man, Max is fine to us. And they didn't fire Max right away. But what it is, man, is Max used to be the it guy at ESPN. If a lot of you guys don't know, man, you can go back in the archives. Max was the it guy. He was the young guy, man. He's the guy for ESPN that started really bringing them big $1 million salaries. Max used to host Friday Night Fights with Brian Kenny, and he was fresh out of college, and he was just sharp. He knew his boxing down to a science, and everybody loved Max as far as boxing is concerned. Max is very smart. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and you know, Stephen A feels threatened by that. And that's why he was trying to, you know, get Max out of there. Because Stephen A is the kind of guy, man, if he feels any kind of way threatened, he knows that I need to eliminate this problem and nip it in the bud right now. And man, he was doing Max dirty behind his back. Every year, I think ESPN would have like an annual meeting to talk about the shows and which way we should go and what kind of narrative we should push. And Stephen A was trying to get Max out of there for the last 4 of the 5 years that they worked together. Man, this is despicable. This dude is straight out Benedict Arnold. He's a guy, man, that get full confidence of a guy, sit there, you know, learn everything that you know, but be biding his time, waiting on an opportunity to use your secrets against you. He's the guy, man, that you probably grew up in the neighborhood with, and you've been knowing for years and years, man. This is your man, 50 grand. But when you bring your homie around your girl for the first time, he sees your girl is super bad, and the first thing he does is ask you, man, do she got any sisters? Fellas, if anybody don't know this, when you hear a dude or women, you hear your girl ask that question, that's code word for they want to get with your girl. So they willing to find out if she have anybody or he has anybody that looks close to that. I want to get at him. That's code word, man, that as soon as you not around, they'll hit on your girl. Or if your girl and you are going through it right now, he'll be the guy that'll listen to everything that your girl's talking about, but he's really trying to slide up on your girl. Man, this dude is the epitome of Benedict Arnold. And it's time they shut him down. He's getting out of control. He's losing focus. Yeah, I know you created that character, this loud, obnoxious character, you know, and you built it off the base of Jim Rome. We understand that. No problem with that. We understand this is your character. But man, you gotta have certain principles and certain things that you won't go above and beyond. You know, and I just don't like that about Stephen A. Man, this dude, he don't care. He's willing to sell out anybody to excel. And this is the worst kind of dude, man. But yeah, man, that's all I really have on this take. I just, want to bring this to you guys, man. I just think Stephen A is despicable, and he's Benedict Arnold in 2021, point blank, period. And, man, you guys leave your thoughts in the comment section, man. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell icon, man, to get all the notifications, man. If you meet somebody in your life that operates like this, and you kind of sense they got this kind of style, get away from them as fast as you can. This has been another edition of No Pump Fake Sports. I'm your host, Passport T, and we out. Peace.